All right, everybody, we're going to talk about Hedron and Iosa today. These are two HEX derivatives. I've made a lot of previous videos on these. Just go search for them if you want to really learn how Hedron works. But in today's video, all I really want to focus on is how much is Iosa worth theoretically, and how much opportunity is there for Iosa to keep pumping, because there is a rate in HEX terms that Iosa should theoretically maybe be at. And I think I figured out how to calculate it pretty easily. So stick with me till the end of the video if you want to see how underpriced or overpriced Iosa might or might not be at any given time. And today, pro tip, today I believe it's underpriced. Guys, I could be wrong, but I think today Iosa is underpriced in terms of how much HEX per Iosa. I'm going to explain about why and how to do that calculation. It's actually not that hard, but that doesn't mean that, the market is going to agree with everybody and all of us. And it doesn't mean the market is going to agree that Iosa should be at that certain level. We've seen coins like Hedron and Iosa pumping lately, and these are derivative plays on HEX. Okay, so for people that don't know, if you have a HEX stake, you can mint Hedron every single day for free just by paying a small gas fee. As long as you have a HEX stake, every single day that you accrue on the stake, you get more mintable Hedron. The Hedron that you can mint is calculated by the number of B shares that you have. And remember, there's 1,000 B shares in every T share. It gets more complicated. This is the main website for Iosa. This is app.iosa.pro. I'm sure a lot of you guys know about this, but if you're a HEX staker and you're not claiming your free Hedron, you might as well. People are also trading it a lot too, and it's kind of acting as leverage on the HEX price a little bit. We can go to the price in HEX terms over here on the Hedron chart and see that actually, lately it's been going up even relative to HEX. Okay, even relative to HEX. I think, Hedron just did maybe a 2.5x, whereas HEX just did like a double or like a 75% gain or something like that. So let's go back to the website. Now you can connect this to any different blockchain, even the ETH proof of work, even ETH Fair. Okay, so there's actually potentially free coins over there too. Not that anybody cares about these two chains right now. Everyone cares about Pulse chain. So we're going to connect our wallet up here, connect MetaMask, and we've got, tiny little bits of HEX stakes over here, and it tells us all of our HEX stakes in B shares, okay? And every single day, look, you just mint Hedron if you want to. I like to just wait for many days and even months and years to pass. Like, I don't just mint this every single day because I don't care. And, it only starts to really matter with longer and bigger stakes if you want to mint that free Hedron. But now Iosa is a different app that adds on to Hedron where you can stake these coins. You can stake Hedron to earn Iosa coin. If you stake Hedron, you earn Iosa. And if you stake Iosa, you earn both Hedron and Iosa. And the Iosa comes from the minting schedule. The Hedron comes from all the burned Hedron. So you burn Hedron when you buy stakes back in the auctions, the HSI auctions. And you can get Iosa from, sacrificing stakes into the auctions. So some people want the Iosa, so they make an HSI and they sacrifice it to the auction. Some people want to buy those HSIs that were sacrificed, and they have to use Hedron for that purchase. And that Hedron gets burned, and some of that gets routed back as yield. So it's a complicated Rube Goldberg machine. We don't really care about this. What I really want you to focus on is the calculation that I'm doing very simply. We'll go through it really quick. Stick with me here. And the Hedron app itself, guys, this is how you would theoretically wrap a stake. Just so you guys know, we do have wrappable HEX stakes right now, and you're going to want to pay attention to this because Hedron V2 is coming up. So Alex, the developer behind this, he's making it more interoperable, more user-friendly. And I don't have time to go through all of the improvements that Hedron V2 is going to have, but it basically connects Iosa and Hedron into one unit called Iosa Hedron. Okay, so that was kind of the original vision. And it was also, it's hard with, all these coins on the Ethereum chain, all these coins on the Pulse chain blockchain. It's hard to keep track of everything. This is going to simplify things and just make it easier for everybody. Go follow the Telegram group if you want to get ahead of that, but that could be another reason as to why the prices of Hedron are pumping, for example. And let's look at Iosa too, all right? We're going to look at the Iosa, and notice how it's paired to HEX. Notice that the primary liquidity pair here is paired to HEX. So that's another reason why they say it's kind of like leverage on HEX, because it's primarily paired to HEX liquidity. And it's been pumping a lot lately. I mean, look, even in HEX terms, let's see how much that went up. A 5x, 500% rise since, only a month ago. So it's really been doing phenomenal. Iosa versus HEX and Iosa versus USD. Now, I haven't bought any in a while. I've had bags sitting around in liquidity pools for over a year now. I got all my Hedron from my HEX stakes. I bought my initial Iosa back when Hedron first started. And I think the price was way higher. But, it's just sitting there in a liquidity pool. I haven't actually bought this. But some people think this might go to, what we could call the fair market value, right? Or the arbitrage zone, right? Where it becomes effective to arbitrage. Because you can mint Iosa. Remember, the way that you mint Iosa is if you actually make a wrapped HEX stake, and then you go over here to the HSI auctions, and you just sacrifice it. So look at all these HEX stakes. Most of them are maximum length, right? Because you get an extra 10% bonus Iosa if your stake is max length, and you send it into the auction. You say, I don't want this wrapped HEX stake anymore. Someone else can now buy it from you for a certain number of Hedron. You pay Hedron if you want to buy these wrapped HEX stakes. So a lot of people look at these, the really long-term thinkers, they're actually buying up these wrapped stakes because they're like dirt cheap T-shares. If you just want to keep on adding max length stakes to your ladder, keep in mind, most of them are 15 years. So I'm not really too interested in buying a lot of these, but you can get some incredibly good deals when you see a big one come your way. Now, all these are so small. Like, I just do not care about a 500 HEX stake, right? I'll just wrap that. I'll just make that stake myself, right? If I really wanted to. But yeah, it's being sold for, 400,000 Hedron. And it's available now. And so you could put a bid, you could start an auction and start a bidding war like eBay for HEX stakes. Okay, so people are bidding for HEX stakes all day long if they want to. But again, this video is more so about Iosa. Now remember, you can stake Iosa, you could stake Hedron, and you could earn more Iosa and more Hedron. You can wrap HEX stakes, and you can mint your Hedron all from this website. That's why I recommend people go check out app.icosa.pro. And there's a lot of other websites, like gopulse.com now offers this. A lot of other HEX staking front ends, they let you mint this free coin. But if you're going over here on gohex.com, right? If you're on go.hex.com and you're not minting your daily Hedron or your accrued Hedron, then you could be just missing out. So before you end your stake, at least hop over and check if your Hedron is worth anything. But now I want to go back to this calculation, okay? This would be the theoretical fair Iosa price for HEX. And it goes off of this, okay? It goes off, it's calculated by the borrowable Hedron on the HEX stake that you have, divided by the share rate, times 1.1 because you get a 10% bonus if it's a maximum 5,555 day stake. And that equals the number of Iosa that you're going to get. The number of Iosa. So Iosa should slowly trend up versus HEX. It actually should act as leverage. So when you hear people out there and they're saying Iosa acts as leverage versus HEX, this is what they mean when you go under the hood. And it sounds complicated. It's not, guys. This is a very basic equation here. I'm going to do it for you guys. And just do it with me so that we can all understand what everything should be worth. All right. Let's say that I just buy a very simple 1 T-share stake and I stake it for the maximum length and I cash that in for Iosa. How much Iosa would I get for a maximum length stake? Let's hop over here and we could see that, for 10,700 HEX, roughly, 10,700 HEX will get me about 1 T-share. Look where my mouse is. It'll get me about 1 T-share if I stake it for the maximum length. So right now remember, I put in 10,700 HEX, I got a 1 T-share stake, and I made it for the maximum length, so I get that 10% bonus. So let's pull out our handy dandy calculator here. Okay, now remember, we had 1 T-share, which is worth 1,000 B shares. So 1,000 B shares, that's how much is borrowable times 5,555 days. The borrowable amount of Hedron on your stake is your B shares times your total days. So B shares times total days is 1,000 B shares, right? Because we have 1 trillion shares is 1,000 B shares. Okay, it's just an order of magnitude higher. So multiply that by the number of days in the stake, 5,555. And this 5,555,000 is going to be the total number of Hedron that stake can possibly mint. Now we're going to also multiply that by 1.1 for the 10% bonus. And so 6,110,000 Hedron is the amount of Hedron mintable. The total borrowable or mintable Hedron on that particular stake is 6 million. Okay, remember that 10,700 HEX stake. If we borrowed all the Hedron on it, the maximum number of Hedron that we could possibly borrow on it, right? So every stake has a maximum amount of mintable Hedron. That number is 6 million. Now we divide that by the share rate. Now what is the share rate today? The share rate today is 31,895 HEX per T-share. So we divide this by 3,1895. That equals 191.58. So we're roughly getting 192 Iosa coins for this HEX stake. And remember, this HEX stake was originally 10,700 HEX. And that 10,700 HEX got us 192 Iosa. So what is the effective price in HEX terms that the Iosa should be worth? Well, if we divide 10,700 divided by 192, let's see what number we get. 10,700 HEX divided by 192 Iosa equals 55.7 hex per Iosa in theory. In theory, very interesting, right? Not that hard of a calculation, right? If you can do some multiplying and some dividing and just follow the steps that I did, you can come to the same conclusion. It might change over time, right? It might slowly trend up because the share rate might slowly trend up. Okay, so notice how the share rate goes up every day. Eventually, you're going to be getting a lower and lower number of Iosa, meaning when you divide your initial hex by the Iosa, you're dividing by a lower number, meaning that the hex value, the number of hex per Iosa should be going up over time. I remember back in the day, I think this used to be like in the 30s. So now it's 55. So it should be trending up. That's kind of its arbitrage range, or you could say it's fair market value, if you believe that, right? If the market even believes that. So this is all contingent on people actually giving a crap about any of this, all right, and people's attention being focused on it. And look, I'm not trading Iosa right now. I'm just telling you guys how you might want to look at the fair value. Let's hop over to the chart again, the Iosa chart, and now let's pick on the ratio over here. Remember, go up here for the ratios. It always defaults you to USD. You got to click on the ratio to see, is Iosa outperforming HEX itself? It is right now. But look, one Iosa today is only worth 15 HEX. So does that mean that there is over a 4x left? Almost a 4x left in here? Because, 55 is a long way off from 15. You got 15, 30, 45. The Iosa price could theoretically triple before it becomes arbitrageable back down. But again, the market might decide to squash things earlier than that. They might decide, we don't even care. We're going to front run the arbitrage rate, right? Because we all know everybody's waiting for it to get to 55 cents. So we're all going to dump at, 45 hex. Not cents, I meant hex. So if everyone's thinking it's all going to get to 55 hex easily, Iosa will be worth 55 hex. People play games. People play psychological games. They sell earlier. You might see a ceiling price at, 50 hex per Iosa or 45 hex per Iosa. So that's how you calculate the fair value. It's a very simple calculation. Keep that in mind when you're minting your free Hedron and Iosa. And guys, this whole thing, if you want to look into it, it definitely makes HEX staking a lot stickier because it's one more thing to do. You can stack up cheap T-shares on the auctions. You can now do tradable stakes. You can actually sell these HEX stakes on NFT marketplaces, by the way. Here's an NFT marketplace. It's called Mintra.ai. It's one of many. Okay, we've got a ton of them over on Pulse Chain, but look, you can actually buy HEX stakes over here among every other, NFT collection we've got. I'm seeing a lot of, obviously, Tangang stuff, Pulse Funks, a lot of Crypto Kitties. These are all collections from people, but there's actually financial NFTs as well. And those are going to be the HSIs. The HSIs are called HEX staking instances, and this actually creates almost a secondary bond market, right? If HEX stakes are looked at like certificates of deposit or basically bonds, right? Then you can actually sell these when they're not even fully completed yet. So we've got HEX stake instances over here that people are selling just for fun. I don't really know. I don't think anyone's buying these right now because nobody cares. In the bull market, everybody cares, right? And then they go away in the bear market and nobody cares. So if you care about certain things when nobody else does, sometimes you're rewarded, sometimes. So these are actually HEX staking instances that are in the form of NFTs. One of the many examples that we have of actual financial NFTs. In addition to, of course, all the art, all the collections that I just kind of passed over. But this video is about HEX and Iosa. So that's the kind of the cool stuff you can do in a nutshell. Just wanted to recap for people that are confused about Iosa or Hedron. If you want to get into the weeds on this, check out all my previous videos. I'll link some above. Also, just go into the Telegram chat and keep an eye on what Alex is building because people are also speculating. There is some aspect of speculation that, Hedron V2, and look, it's trading on both Ethereum and Pulse Chain, right? So it's going to link the E-Hedron and the P-Hedron together and the E-Iosa and the P-Iosa together. When Alex comes out with V2 of the platform, people might treat it as buy the rumor, sell the news. Okay, so there might be a lot of potential in terms of leverage on HEX, if you like that narrative, okay? There might be some potential of attention actually coming back to Hedron. Now, look, it's been dead for a long time. Hedron, no one has really cared about it in a long, long time. It's been kind of down in the dumps for, 5 months, almost 6 months. During the bear market, everybody doesn't care about Hedron anymore. But now it recently took off again. So you might be wondering, what is this Hedron thing? It just did almost a 3x. All right, but remember, we look at it in the HEX prices. And it's actually going up even relative to HEX as well. So that's Hedron, that's HEX. Remember the fair market valuation, 55 HEX per Iosa. The prophecy might not be fulfilled though. That just because this is the calculation on paper doesn't mean that the market is going to agree with this number. All right, so Iosa being 55, and if HEX is 1.7 pennies today, If HEX is 1.7 pennies, 0.017, the USD fair value of Iosa should be about 95 cents. If I say should be, doesn't mean that the market can disagree with me. It definitely can. Guys, like, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment. And if you are brand new to crypto, I have a course to teach you all about how to do it right. Get the confidence to do crypto the right way. HEXPassiveincome.com in description below if you're a brand new guy. All right, I'll see you on the next video.